All right, 1 second. All right. All right. So again, I'm sorry about that. What I did, all right, and this should help things going forward, is I took it out of minicam. Sometimes minicam, if you don't have the, I guess you would say, the network that to really deal with that strain, that extra strain on your system, it doesn't work pretty well. So yes, John, those send an email to GOCC@yahoo.com, and I'll get back with you as soon as possible. Okay. All right. Someone says, after the whore is destroyed by other nations, when will all nations come against Israel? Okay. Hopefully, we'll get an opportunity to go through that as far as prophecies. As when Babylon is destroyed, how would that play out once the nations go back under Rome? We read from the King James Version Bible. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me go back to the. Let me try to fix this here to where there's not two streams running simultaneously. I thought I deleted and stopped the other stream, but let me see here. All right, now I only see one stream that's active. All right, I only see one active stream. Okay, someone says the other stream is stopped. Okay, good. Yes, GOCC@yahoo.com. All right, Shalom again to all those who are coming in. I apologize for the technical errors, but nonetheless, we're going to jump back in. Okay. Someone, I believe, before we left off was asking a question. I'm not sure how much of that portion you all got, but just to keep it brief, to get the understanding as to how the Bible views either, well, really someone as a in position separating from the church. Again, it depends on the circumstances, whatever the case may be. But 1 John 2:18-19, just read that, and that gives you one example of how the disciples viewed it amongst many. Someone says, what event and date were to mark the starting point for the 2300 year and the 490 prophecies? All right, you have to clear that up for me, what you're referring to in particular. You have to clear that up for me. Someone says, can you give insight on Second Chronicles chapter 18, verse 18-22, where it says, the Most High allowing a spirit to entice Ahab and sending a lying spirit in the mouth of the prophets? Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. So let's go to first. Let's get this story first, and then we'll get precepts to show why the Most High would allow this and why this particular event had to take place. Okay. So let's go to First Chronicles 18. Okay, Second Chronicles 18. 1 second. Now let's get some backdrop on this story. For those who are familiar with the story of Jezebel in the Bible, we often make mention of Jezebel, but sometimes we may forget or we may know that the husband of Jezebel was King Ahab of the northern kingdom. Now we know that Jezebel and Ahab were notorious. Well, Jezebel was more so notorious for trying to seek out and kill the prophets of God who were contending with the false prophets of Baal. Ahab is more so notorious for being a king, a man in position, a man of great power who was weak and allowed Jezebel to operate against the prophets of the Most High and to allow the influence of Baal to reign supreme in the northern kingdom. Now, granted, we know that before Ahab came on the scene, the northern kingdom was developed and established upon Baal worship, going back to Jeroboam, the first king. Okay, so they were already kind of steeped in Baal worship, but when Jezebel came into power with Ahab, it became an all-out assault against the prophets of God. They wanted to do away with and get rid of God's prophets. Okay, so we have a situation here where Jehoshaphat, which in the Bible is the king of the southern kingdom. Remember, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom at this time were divided. Jehoshaphat was the king of the southern kingdom. And he, believe it or not, was actually considered one of the more righteous kings of Judah. All right. So we're going to start off in First or Second Chronicles 18:1. Now, going forward, I mentioned that we do not have the share screen. So I'm just gonna read it off, but you just have to write these down and open your Bible and read this along with me. Second Chronicles chapter 18, verse number 1 says, "Now Jehoshaphat had riches and honor and abundance, and joined affinity with Ahab." So he joined an alliance with King Ahab. All right. Now, believe it or not, this was very rare during the time of the split of the kingdoms, because we were often going back to the initial split. There was war. Okay, continual spats between the northern and southern kingdom. The Levites were excommunicated from the northern kingdom. Jeroboam set up false priests. All right, and the Levites were excommunicated to the southern kingdom. Okay, so now they were operating as priests in the southern kingdom. Even going up until the time of Christ, we know that John the Baptist's father was a high priest. Okay. So, this was very rare. Okay, with the after the separation, we would more so unify with other nations against each other, more so than unify with each other. So, going here to the book of Second Chronicles, chapter 18, verse 2, it says, "And after certain years, he went down to Ahab to Samaria. And Ahab killed sheep and oxen for him in abundance and for the people that he had with him, and persuaded him to go up to Ramoth Gilead. And Ahab, king of Israel, said unto Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, Wilt thou go with me to Ramoth Gilead? And he answered him,